everyone, it's Jen here, and I am back for a new episode of my podcast. And today I'm going to be talking about a highly debated issue that I've always wanted to give my opinion on because I just keep seeing it being talked about over and over and over, and it's about time I say something on it. And what is this? It might piss off some people, but you know what? Who cares? I just want to give my wholehearted opinion. And that is, did BTS pave the way or not? Well, oh gosh, I am totally gonna piss off so many people, but it's okay. It's fine. I really don't care. And just to keep in mind, I am a BTS stan, first and foremost. They are my alt group. I am a multi, but do keep in mind that I am kind of biased towards BTS in this situation, just to make that clear. So, let's get into it, shall we? I don't know, every time I go on Twitter, any social media, I always see at least a few people talking about this. You know, someone says, oh, BTS paved the way, and there's going to be a million comments like, no, they didn't, so-and-so did, blah, 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 like, that's not true. And I am here to say something about that. Well, I'm just going to say it right now. BTS did pave the way. And why is that? I will go into it. So first and foremost, you have to know a little bit about K-pop before making your decision on this issue. K-pop obviously has been around for much longer than BTS has. It's been around for the past few decades. It started around the mid-90s, and, you know, it's been a very successful thing, specifically in Asia. You have to realize that. K-pop, you know, isn't just popular in Korea, it's popular in Japan, in China, in Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, all of the above, all those Eastern Asian countries. People just love K-pop. And it's always been, you know, a successful thing there. Groups like Big Bang, TVXQ, Girls' Generation, 21, all these big groups. And I am going to flat out say that I do not think that they weren't successful. I think they were very successful. But here is where the issue a lot arises when you say that they paved the way and BTS didn't. If you go onto the street and you walk up to, you know, a random person and you ask them, do you know about K-pop? The first group that they're probably going to mention is BTS. But if you were to ask someone, you know, a few years ago if they knew about K-pop, they probably wouldn't know what it is or what BTS is. And that really says something. And why is that? It's because that those other groups from like the first and second generation didn't have the same success in America that BTS do now. And there had been many attempts by these big companies to send their groups over to America to try to gain fans there, gain attention. I was gonna say an artist, but I don't think that. Oh, you're right. The Wonder Girls. The Wonder Girls is the example that always comes into my head, where I think they're under SM. I'm not really sure. They went to America a few years ago. I think not even a few. It was a while ago, because they had an English song and they promoted it there, but it just didn't do well. It just didn't capture people's attention. Same thing with all these other groups, like Big Bang. They probably had shows in America, but, you know, you didn't really hear people talking about them. And that's really what happened. They just couldn't get success in America. I mean, the one notable exception is Psy with Gangnam Style. That was really the first time where a lot of people were exposed to K-pop, to Korean music. And unfortunately, I don't really think that was a good thing because it kind of made K-pop seem as a very silly thing that just couldn't be taken seriously. When people heard about Gangnam Style, they're like, oh, it's a funny, stupid thing. I bet K-pop is all like this. Like, it's all dumb music. And I think that's been in people's minds for a long time, which personally I just don't like. I'm not saying I didn't like Gangnam Style. I thought it was like a really fun thing. It went viral. Everyone was doing the dance, blah, blah, blah. But I just think it kind of put K-pop in a light that it didn't make it seem like genuine music, which is far, far from the truth. So with BTS, obviously you know that they started off in a really small company, Big Hit Entertainment. They didn't have a lot of success from the get-go. They didn't have a lot of resources, blah, blah, blah. And, I think the key with BTS was that they gradually gained fans naturally, organically. They didn't have some special, promotion thing, blah, 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 like that groups do now. No, BTS literally just was there. They were literally just there making music, and people just said, you know what, I like these guys, I'm gonna follow them, I'm gonna become a fan. And as you know, they had a lot of problems with that. A lot of people criticized them, made fun of them. They just didn't think it was possible for a group from such a small label to do anything to be as successful as their faves, blah, blah, blah. But boy, were they proven wrong. I think BTS really started their successful run, at least in the West, in 2017 when they went to the Billboard Music Awards. That was a true turning point. They won an American award, and it really came out of nowhere. They surprised people. Like, really, they were like, wow, who are these guys? People were confused. But that really shows you that people weren't expecting them to come to get this big. They kind of just came here. And as you know, the rest is history. There's so many things I could talk about that, like, I can't even explain. All the success they had, all the achievements they've made is just there. It's just too long of a list for me to go through. And like I said before, BTS made the name of K-pop. They made it really what it is, the popularity of the name K-pop. If BTS didn't, have the success in the West as they have done for the past few years, people really wouldn't know what K-pop is, or it wouldn't really be as popular as it is now. It's just the truth. You really can't argue that. And also, along with that, BTS made it possible for other groups to come over and start promoting in America. Which brings me to another thing that kind of bugs me. A lot of these companies promoting their groups in America, they believe that it's possible for their groups to achieve the same amount of success as BTS. They think they can replicate it. But in my wholehearted opinion, I just don't think that's possible. BTS were the first ones to really bring the K-pop movement to America, and I just don't think that could be replicated. I don't really think you can recreate that because it was done naturally. If you don't make your group successful in a natural way, it just feels a bit off. I don't really want to name too many names because I'm probably going to piss off people, but there is a certain act I have in mind that was, I think, specifically created in a very manufactured way to try to replicate that success. And it just didn't really work because, like I said, you really can't replicate it. There's no way. BTS, they did something that just really can't be done again. And do I think that once, like, BTS become inactive or blah, 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 that the popularity of K-pop will go down? I think so. I really think so. I'm not saying that. I think it'll still be pretty popular, but it won't be at the height that it is now, definitely. I think people just don't want to admit that BTS really paved the way for K-pop. It's true. I really don't see how you can't see that. And I'm not saying that these other groups weren't successful or didn't work hard. No, I'm not saying that. I do believe that they do work hard and they, produce good music and blah, blah, blah. I believe that. I'm a multi. I like a lot of groups. But I just think that BTS's success is just, it's so unique, and it's something that I just don't think will happen again. At least in the Korean industry, I can't see it. Because like I said, you can't replicate it. There is no way to replicate that success. And I think that basically sums up that whole issue. I hope I explained it well, because I feel like people are still going to be coming for my neck, but whatever. Is there anything else I want to talk about? You know what? I think I'll talk more about my BTS story a little bit, about how I got into them, how I discovered them, and how my life was changed, basically. So I guess this will also be a little bit about my music story as well, because it kind of connects. So I've always really loved music, obviously. There were a lot of bands that I used to love. I just love groups in general. I just think groups just work so well, whether it's a rock band or a pop band, whatever. I love the concept of a group. The teamwork they have, the camaraderie, the friendship. I really love that concept. Really do like groups more than solo acts, in my opinion. But of course I love solo acts, but I just think they're just something really special about groups. The first groups I really liked were like Linkin Park and Coldplay when I was like in elementary school. I know I was a little young to like Linkin Park. I really did actually. I always heard their songs on the radio and I was in love with them. Same thing with Coldplay. And then this is not going to surprise you, but I really started to like One Direction back in like 2012. And to be honest, looking back at it, I don't regret liking them, but there was something about One Direction that kind of like it bothered me, at least towards like their later years of doing stuff. I don't know, there was a lot of problematic things that happened and it kind of turned me the wrong way. And then also the members of One Direction now always talk about how they actually really didn't like each other, which kind of bothers me. I'm like, really, this whole time you didn't like each other? And I was like, I was told, I was certain that, you guys were the best of friends, but whatever. So I was a Directioner for a while. I was obsessed with One Direction. That was a whole different time. And then after they kind of like, I guess they disbanded, right? Or they're on hiatus, whatever. I kind of told myself, I'm kind of done with this whole boy band thing. It kind of bothered me. I don't really like it. And then a couple years later, that time rolls around. I was in high school, junior year. And my friend one day comes up to me and she tells me about this Korean group called BTS that she really likes. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And in my head, I'm saying, no, not another group. I didn't have a good experience last time. I don't really want to go through this again. It's probably the same crap. And then also when I went on Twitter, I noticed that a lot of the One Direction accounts were switching over to BTS accounts and they were posting pictures of the members. I'm like, who are these guys? They're so weird. Like, what? This is what I was thinking. I know, I was so mean to them back then. And then, the months kind of went by. She's like, you gotta check them out, Jen, come on. Like, and I lied to her saying, of course I will. Of course I'll check them out. And in reality, I wasn't. I didn't want to. And then I kept thinking it over. And then one day I decided to search the names of the members online. I looked at Wikipedia. I'm like, okay, all right. Those are some interesting names. I think the name that really surprised me was Suga, Yoongi's name. I don't know, I really like that. And then the day came where I decided I was going to check them out. And that day was the American Music Awards when BTS were having their debut performance. So I turn on TV. I'm like, okay, I'll check these guys out. I don't think maybe they'll be okay, maybe not. I just want to see for myself. And from there, well, you know what happened. I was caught off guard. Because in my mind, I don't think I knew that they danced. Or if they did dance, I didn't think that they were that good at dancing. You know the DNA choreography with the whole linking arms together. And you know that I had never seen anything like that in my life. And I was like, who are these guys? They're crazy good. Obviously, their visuals kind of, I was like, ooh, they're cute. I like them. And then once the show was over, I'm like, I think I like them now. And from there, I fell in the hole, and the rest is history. I searched them up on YouTube, online. I did some research on the members. I started listening to their music. It took me, I think, 2 weeks to tell members apart, which is pretty good, I think. I don't know. I kept getting confused, I think, between Jungkook and Jin. Yeah, for some reason. I don't know. But there we go. And then that's how I started to like BTS. And thank God for that. Honestly, I always think to myself, I'm like, wow, there was a point where I hesitated to like them. I hesitated to get in them. But I'm thankful that didn't happen, that my friend did convince me, and now I've been an ARMY for, 2.5 years, and it'll be 3 years, at the end of 2020. Wow, that's crazy. That's nuts. It doesn't really feel like a long time, but it kind of does. And it's been such an amazing time. Obviously, BTS have opened me up to the world of K-pop. Like I've said before, that had probably happened to a lot of other people. They introduced me to a lot of my other favorite groups like Monsta X, NCT, ATEEZ, even girl groups like G-Friend and Luna, and I can't even name everybody. But yeah, like I still love BTS wholeheartedly. They're still they're my old group, and they always give me so much happiness and support, and I'll never, I think even after they're like inactive, I think I'll still like them. I know I said the same thing about One Direction, but I think in this case it's something that's even more special. I think there's something so special about BTS that will stick with me for a very, very long time. And I do wish, obviously, that I had been a fan for longer than that, because it was just their 7th anniversary recently, 7 years. And I was only a part of a little less than 3 years of that. And I really, really wish that I had become an ARMY much, much earlier. Like, especially like during like the school trilogy days and, the most beautiful moment in life era. Like, wow, I wish. Even the Wings era too. Wow, I really missed out on those. I mean, I'm not saying that their current stuff is bad. No, it's just as good. It's amazing, but I just wish that I was a fan back then. Wow. So yeah, that basically wraps it up. I talked about the whole BTS paved the way argument, and I also talked about how I found BTS. So I guess that's it. It's a bit disorganized. I'm sorry about that. I tried to organize it on a piece of paper here, but I'm just not good at that, I guess. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will hopefully be back again for another episode of my podcast. And I will see you all in the next video.